In 2004, Will Smith was the top-paid actor in Hollywood. After the successes of Independence Day and Men in Black 1 and 2, he earned a whopping $28 million for the sci-fi hit I, Robot. But just over 15 years later, his career was almost over. From the world's biggest TV star to the world's biggest movie action superstar to simply just a mocked internet meme. So, what happened? How did the world's biggest movie star go from this
I make this look good
to this? Smith was born in 1968, Philadelphia, in the United States. His full name was Willard Carroll Smith Jr. His dad, Willard Sr., was a strict Air Force veteran and refrigeration engineer, the kind of man who believed in structure, hard work, and doing things the right way. At school, he would charm his way out of trouble with other kids by making them laugh. And school is where he met this guy, DJ Jazzy Jeff. It wasn't long before he was turning down a scholarship at MIT to make music with Jeff, and it was a gamble that paid off massively. In 1989, at just 20 years old, they won a Grammy for the song Parents Just Don't Understand. Now, I don't think a lot of people quite appreciate how big of a win this was. In 1989, hip-hop was shifting to a more darker sound, with NWA and Public Enemy being seen as the future of hip-hop. Will Smith's cheesy style of soft rap was fully against the grain. But with the success came the fame, the music, and the inevitable spending. In fact, he did so much spending, and not on his taxes, that it wasn't long before the IRS came knocking at his door and seized a bunch of his stuff and garnished his musical income.
Sir, you don't pay your income tax?
However, this didn't crush Smith. In fact, he pivoted in an unlikely direction. In the same year of 1989, at a party, legendary music producer Quincy Jones approached Smith and asked him if he wanted to audition for a TV show. He stupidly said yes, and then he was auditioning for a TV spot, to which he impressed, and to which this show was born.
Now this is a story all about how
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air premiered in 1990 on NBC. Smith had no acting experience, had serious debt with the IRS, his rap career was fading, and all of this at just 21. This move could have sunk him forever. But instead, the show was an instant hit.
go, back up. Mind your business, that's all. Mind your business.
Initially, the show kept the script really light, throwing the non-experienced in acting Will Smith softballs. But as the show grew into a cultural staple and Will Smith became more and more experienced in acting, it started giving him tougher and tougher character arcs, leading to this famous moment in 1994, 4 seasons in.
I had 14 great birthdays without him. He never even sent me a damn card. The hell with him! How come he don't want me, man?
Side note, did you know that James Avery, aka Uncle Phil, was also the voice of Shredder in the Turtles cartoon show?
But I don't want to conquer this place. I want to conquer Earth.
So now Will Smith was a few years into acting, and perhaps he now had the confidence to do this scene based on the fact that just a year earlier, he had his first leading movie role in the 6 Degrees of Separation. Now, whilst in 1992 he had a very small role in the movie Where the Day Takes You, where he does a lot of uncharacteristic cursing.
Yeah, your grandmama's down there spit shining dicks again. Deal on balls today.
6 Degrees of Separation is where people actually stood up and took notice of him as an actor, starring alongside powerhouse actors like Donald Sutherland and Sir Ian McKellen.
Look, I should be going.
Now, this was a hell of a glow up because just 2 years earlier, he was so bad at acting that he was mouthing other actors' lines as they were acting, as he was actually learning the whole script as opposed to just his lines, just so he wouldn't mess up.
This is it.
Now, this is a terrible technique for acting.
In the middle of a scene, Karen just said, "Stop it!" I didn't know I was doing that.
You used to do it with me a lot.
But also showed the lengths that he would go to be successful, and almost was a precursor for the success that he was inevitably going to have. Now, his first movie role in 6 Degrees of Separation was nothing compared to what was going to happen 2 years later with this movie.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when they come?
This is undoubtedly the moment that Will Smith became a movie star. And not just a movie star, an action star. He had the full package.
Pause.
Height, looks, charm, and now he even had the...
Now, that's sex appeal.
This movie was Michael Bay's debut as a director, and he knocked it out of the park. All the trademarks of his movies are evident to see. On a budget of just $23 million, it grossed $141 million worldwide. Not only was he one of, if not the biggest actor on TV, he was now on the road to becoming one of the biggest movie stars in the world. In fact, owing to the success of Bad Boys, he was now maybe too big for TV. And this meant that 1 year later in 1996, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air was ended.
Please! No!
Will Smith was just simply too big for the show. Now, let's not even talk about that awful melodramatic remake of the show. We're not going to talk about that. Now, this wasn't the first time a massive show ended or faded because one of his stars became too big. Michael J. Fox left Family Ties in the 80s because of Back to the Future, Bruce Willis moonlighting, Robin Williams Mork and Mindy, George Clooney with ER, Steve Carell with The Office. But nothing could prepare the world for what was about to happen next. Independence Day really shouldn't have worked. It's the most ridiculous successful B-movie of all time. The plot barely makes sense, there's too many characters, Will Smith punches an alien.
Okay, well that is ridiculous.
Jeff Goldblum, there's nothing more to add on to that, just Jeff Goldblum. But work it did, making nearly $1 billion on a budget of just $72 million. Roland Emmerich, the movie's director, had to fight hard to cast Will Smith in the role though. 20th Century Fox said to him, "You can't cast a black guy in this role. It simply won't play internationally." The international box office said to them, "Wrong!" Bad Boys was released a year before and become massive. Now in 1996, this movie had just been released and become massive. So, time for a rest, right?
Nope.
1997 saw another massive hit for Will Smith with Men in Black. Ironically, or maybe deliberately, the movie was released on the 4th of July, Independence Day, and it made $589 million worldwide. It was another winning step. In fact, it didn't just stop there. He even made a song for the movie, which was also a global hit. It started the Will Smith formula of movie release plus song for the movie equals ka-ching. That's the official term for this. Ka-ching. So 2 smash hit sci-fi movies about aliens in a row. Maybe it was time to pivot. And pivot he did, working with the legendary Gene Hackman and Tony Scott on the unauthorized sequel to the classic film The Conversation. Enemy of the State borrows heavily from that Francis Ford Coppola 70s classic. And it also stars Catwoman's mum. Listen, if you know, you know. Now, this movie did okay. It wasn't a smash hit. It showed that Will Smith could handle more grounded thrillers and mix it up with some of the most elite actors ever though. But ultimately, Big Willie had to. No, don't worry, he calls himself Big Willie. Big Willie had to go back to what he did best. Sci-fi, big blockbuster, music track to mix with the massive hit, Wild Wild West. Oh, sorry, there's a typo here. It should have said, with the massive flop, Wild Wild West. Now the thing is, he turned down the lead role in The Matrix for this slop. This movie was AI slop before AI slop was even a thing. What a mess. But Salma Hayek looked pretty good though.
It's nice having her on board. She's a breath of fresh ass.
So the thing is, this movie actually didn't really dampen Will Smith's hype. He was still the biggest actor in the world at the time. However, his turn in The Legend of Bagger Vance, which, side note, might be the most boring movie ever made, showed that he was kind of pivoting towards that period in an action star's life that I like to call standing ovation at Khan's time. The title is a work in progress, bear with me. Because it always happens, doesn't it? An action star smashes literally every movie they're good at, to the point where they want to now be taken seriously as an actor. And he almost did. In 2001, Will Smith, after putting himself through vigorous boxing training, played Muhammad Ali in the movie Ali.
The champ is here! The champ is here!
And earned himself his first Oscar nomination. And there's always been something about this performance that I personally didn't like. Loads of posturing and not much behind the eyes. But the movie showed promise.
Until
his Oscar loss took him straight back to blockbusters in a big way, like every big action movie star does. Back to the old action movie star movies. Men in Black 2 made $441 million and produced another hit Big Willie song. Bad Boys 2 made $273 million. iRobot made $353 million. Hitch made $371 million. And then he scored his next Oscar nomination with The Pursuit of Happiness in 2006, starring his son Jaden. And then I Am Legend, a fan favorite, made $585 million, a movie in which his wife died, which is a common theme you're going to find. And then in 2008, Hancock made $629 million. Now, in my video about Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, I claimed that he went on to have the best run of hit movies ever between 2011 and 2019. This run of Will Smith's might rival or beat it. Those numbers are incredible, especially as he was actually the lead actor in all of those movies, and he bagged one, or if you go back to Ali, 2 Oscar nominations in that time, whereas Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson wasn't typically the lead in his movies. Now, that run from Will Smith might just be a generational run that might not be matched. But, as with all good things, an end must come. And that end was a little movie called 7 Pounds in 2008. An overly melodramatic, nonsensical tearjerk in which his wife died again. Not that wife, his movie wife. His long, miserable face with no expression behind the eyes popped up again, and his latest attempt at an Oscar failed. No nominations in anything, not even a Golden Globe. I mean, if you don't give it a Golden Globe nomination, then what is going on? And honestly, not even a thought from anyone that he should have even got anything at all. Because, honestly, the movie sucked.
That's mean.
Now, it's hard to say if this prompted Smith to take a break from the industry, but a break did come. And during this time, he kind of did things behind the scenes, like manage his son Jaden's career, producing Karate Kid starring Jaden and Jackie Chan, and his daughter Willow's career, turning them into superstars within their own rights. And maybe most importantly, he also did some therapy. But meanwhile, he also was reading scripts to find the best project to make a comeback to the industry with. And along the way, he came across a little project called Django Unchained.
Tell Miss Laura goodbye.
Bye, Miss Laura.
Lots of things I've been offered that didn't really speak to me. I'm trying to think of one.
Weren't you offered Django?
Django Unchained.
Django. Oh yeah, but you know that was. But see, that was different. I was trying to avoid that.
Now, as controversial as this is, his refusal to play ball and do Django was a worse move than turning down The Matrix. You see, Smith was still hot when The Matrix came out, and his movies after that were also hits too, some of the biggest of his career. But after the flop of 7 Pounds and 4 years out of the industry, just imagine him coming back to movies as the lead in Django, directed by Tarantino. It would have been perfect. Now, pretty much everyone knows that he turned down Django, but maybe some people do not know that he also turned down the lead in this movie. Yes, you got it right. In the space of just 3 years, he turned down movies directed by Christopher Nolan and Quentin Tarantino.
Boy, are you stupid?
His big return was in Men in Black 3, which was a massive box office success, but less of a cultural one like Django and Inception. And then After Earth, which was his movie after Men in Black 3, and also a movie which he thought of the concept himself and developed with a seriously out of form M. Night Shyamalan.
No, you know, the critics are, I don't know what's going on with me and the critics in the United States, I gotta tell you.
Was an unmitigated disaster. Everything about this movie flopped. Massive budget of 130 million, box office of 230 million. Critics and audiences tore this movie to pieces, and it basically killed the career of his son Jaden.
Jaden, you look retarded, bro.
Oh, thank you.
Completely dead. And it was round about here that the aura around Will Smith began to dim. Because despite the 2015 movie Focus, with Margot Robbie being a bit of a fan favourite, the box office wasn't the best, and Concussion the same year pulled up 0 trees. Now, Suicide Squad a year later made bank, but was torn to shred by audiences and critics. And I mean, what the hell is this? What is going on here? Suicide Squad, despite its huge numbers, almost highlighted the fact that the industry had changed. Audiences were no longer coming to see Will Smith and other movie stars. They were coming for properties. Men in Black 3 proved that. This movie further confirmed that. And then Collateral Beauty a year later really cemented that. It was a complete flop. Bright in 2019 for Netflix didn't stop the rot. But in the same year, Aladdin, in a weird way, kind of did. And it also didn't at the same time.
He got up here and dropped by.
Today, this is his biggest hit, a $1 billion box office. And he was stepping into some big shoes left by the amazing Robin Williams.
Some magic!
Let's blow this popsicle stand!
A doorstop would be a fabulous career.
But again, this wasn't iRobot or Hancock or Hitch. This was a big tentpole, pre-existing property, and he wasn't even the lead. And the point is further proven by the flop that is Gemini Man, which was released in the same year. It was a new property, but it also flopped as Will Smith as the lead. Now in 2020, the year of COVID, Bad Boys for Life, the third in the series, made the biggest amount in the series so far, with a box office of $426 million. But it was again a pre-existing property. However, it must be said it was a move in the right direction, until two things happened in 2022 that were perhaps the best and worst things of his career.
Live from the Dolby Theater, it's the Oscars, starring Halle Bailey, Stephanie Beatrice, Josh Brolin, Ruthie Carter, Sean Diddy Combs.
Oh, no.
Will Smith finally won the Oscar he'd wanted since he took acting seriously. Maybe his proudest achievement in the industry.
Denzel said to me a few minutes ago, he said, at your highest moment, be careful, that's when the devil comes for you.
However, just a matter of minutes before this happened.
Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? Richard? Oh, wow.
And this might go down as one of the most controversial, if not the most controversial Oscar moment in Hollywood history. It's still discussed to this date and memed. It was the moment that a typically jovial and grounded Will Smith completely lost it.
Wow, dude.
Yes.
It was a G.I. Jane jump.
Keep my wife's name out your f***ing mouth!
In the aftermath of this moment, people have looked into all the little moments that led up to it, mainly his marriage to fellow actor Jada Pinkett Smith, who, in her own right, had a pretty successful career in the late 90s and early 2000s. But it was this moment when the larger-than-life star lost a lot of credibility.
An entanglement?
Yes. Yes.
A relationship?
Yes.
And in this year, as recording this particular video, his attempt to come back into music after so many years out of the game has been ridiculed, with songs that have been underwhelming,
I love pretty girls.
and the potential use of AI crowd members to try and pad out his recent performances.
When you look up close, faces in the sea of fans appearing distorted and not quite right.
Despite the success in 2024 of Bad Boys 4, it's been a rough few years since that fateful night in 2022. But really no one can ever take away from Will Smith his enormous success and the cultural and positive impact that he has had since the late 80s and up until now. He has shaped how music, TV, and movies should be made, and for the most part, how a celeb should behave in the spotlight. With Aladdin 2 and I Am Legend 2 in the pipeline, Will Smith's career is far from over. But the days of the big-name Hollywood actor opening a movie are now long gone. However, Big Willie shall live on in Hollywood history forever, and rightly so.
When I was 15 years old, my first girlfriend cheated on me.
Oh.
And I remember making a decision that nobody would ever cheat on me again. And the way I was going to do that is by being the biggest actor on earth.
Huh.
Right? So there's been this weird psychology that I've always felt like if my movies are number one, my life is going to work out great.
Huh.
You know? And like, so that's just
You
funny.
share that?
Right, time for the ratings. Apart from the boxing training he did for the movie Ali and some basic firearm skills over the years, Will Smith isn't really proficient in this area, so he's going to get a 5 here. With movies, there's no doubt that he's been part of some of the best movie franchises over the past 3 decades. Even though he turned down Django and Inception, his resume is still stacked. This is a clean 10. For screen presence, Will Smith has incredible screen presence. He was an evolution in the action movie star after Stallone and Arnie. He has the charisma and the charm, as well as the physical presence. It's a 10 here, for sure. Okay, for versatility, things get a little bit trickier because, subjectively speaking, I don't actually think Will Smith is particularly that versatile. I think he does comedy as great as many others in Hollywood history. And when he mixes this with action, you have a winner. But when it comes to serious acting, he's rather hit or miss for me, and more miss than hit. However, he has 3 Oscar nominations and 1 victory, which is way more important than my subjective thoughts. And honestly, he is great in King Richard and was really good in I Am Legend. He's going to get a 10 here as well. And finally, legacy, well, this is kind of murky because he's kind of tarnished his legacy recently with some of the music he's put out, as well as some of his personal life situations. And of course, that Oscar debacle. And as much as I would love to look past all of that, I simply can't. And the problem is, unlike some movie stars who have had scandals behind the scenes that people have heard about, most of his missteps have actually happened in 4K for everyone to view. And for that, I got to give him a 9, which hurts me. And it would be a 10 minus the Oscar rent, but that's the way things are. Sorry, Will.
In this business, you got to be able to have people disrespecting you. And you got to smile and you got to pretend like that's okay.
And that's a final score of 44. And to be honest, he's done a lot better than I thought he would when I started to make this video. And honestly, as much as we'd all love to see an alternative universe where he did Django or Inception or The Matrix, I think he's had an amazing career and maybe the best on this list so far in terms of movies. So the man is an absolute legend. Anyway, as always, big love to the Patreon members and YouTube members of this channel. I would love it if you could hit the like button and please subscribe if you haven't already. Peace out and big love.